The Susan Brender Show is a radio show online broadcasted on YouTube across the United States and globally. The show features guests who speak about health, spirituality, entertainment, and a host of subjects to enlighten people across the nation. Listen to the show that empowers women and men alike and highlights those who have made a difference.
Are you frustrated losing the same 10 pounds over and over again? Then ditch the diet. Wouldn't it be great if you could lose weight simply by making small changes to your daily eating habits? Presenting Create Your Thinner Self, the weight loss program that has helped people just like you finally attain their ideal weight. Imagine having more energy, feeling better, and looking better. Start your transformation today. Go to createyourthinnerself.com. That's createyourthinnerself.com.
I'm Susan Brender, and this is the Susan Brender Show. Today, my guest is David Medansky. He's been on our show before, talking a lot about his book, and I wanted to tell our audience more about what inspired him to become America's newest authority for healthy weight loss. David, come on, jump in now and let our audience know a little bit about your book. Give them the name and give them all the information that you wrote in the book.
Thank you, Susan. The name of the book is If Not Now, When? Create a Healthy Lifestyle in 90 Days. And the reason I wrote the book is in July of 2016, my doctor told me, based on my lab results and being overweight, I had a 95% chance for a heart attack. He gave me two options. I could lose weight or I can find a new doctor because he did not want me dying on his shift. And as a friend told me, I saw the light, did not want to head toward the light. And so during the next 4 months, I shed over 50 pounds, which is 25% of my body weight. I want to help other people reduce weight and live a healthy lifestyle. And that's why I wrote the book.
Well, that's interesting. Now, how did you accomplish this? Because 50 pounds is quite a lot. Now, give our audience a little bit of an indication of what kind of diet you put yourself on and what kinds of foods you ate, which gave you the opportunity to lose the weight.
What I did is I went on HCG, which is a female hormone from pregnant women, and it tricks your body into burning fat. You're on a restricted calorie count of only 550 calories per day for 6 weeks, and then maintenance of 1,250 calories per day for the next 6 weeks. People ask if I recommend that's how you should lose weight, and I do not. The reason being, 90% of people who lose weight that way gain it all back and then some. What I've learned is how to modify and improve my eating behaviors. And based on improving and changing your lifestyle, I've been able to help other people reduce weight without having to go through the agony of being on 550 calories per day. And they're able to change their lifestyle so that they can keep it off. What I do is I compare it as a metaphor to a diet. Diets are like a sprint. They're temporary. And when you're done, there's a finish line. However, when you reduce weight to keep it off permanently, it's similar to running a marathon. You just keep going. There's no finish line. So that's what we do. There's little tricks I teach people. We all know what to do. We just don't do it. For example, the most important thing people can do is drink more pure water. 75% of the U.S. population is chronically dehydrated. So what that means is that 7 out of 10 people need to drink more water. And what happens is when you're thirsty, people think they are actually hungry, so they eat more instead of drinking water. Also, people drink more soda, diet soda, fruit juices, and fruit beverages than they do water. Usually I ask people, you don't feed your dogs, your cats, diet soda or soda, why would you put that in your body? So those are things that help people make small adjustments to their daily eating routines to shed the weight and keep it off in a healthy manner.
You know, David, in the last show, I mentioned that I would love for you to talk about food labeling because ordinary people don't really do that. They don't go into a supermarket and take a look at the labels and see what's inside the product. So, when you tell our audience that food labeling is the way to go, how do you expect them to understand what it really says? Is there a way to kind of understand when it says, for example, water first, that that's the most important ingredient? What are the most important ingredients? How do you do food labeling?
The way I approach it is I ask people, Capital One has their slogan of what's in your wallet, and William Devane for Roslyn Capital says what's in your safe. I ask people what's in your food. So when you read the nutrition fact label on a package, you need not only to read it, you need to understand what you're looking at. The first thing you want to look at is the serving size. The reason being, a lot of packages will have different serving sizes. So what you may think is a portion is different than a serving size. The example we used last time was a can of tuna. 4-ounce can of tuna is 2 servings, yet most people can eat the entire can, 4 ounces, by themselves. So that's a portion. So for the tuna, if it's 90 calories, you would have to double it to 180. The next thing people should look at is the calories and see how many calories, and then sodium, how much sodium is in a product. People may be amazed at how much sodium is in there. Also, read the fine print in recipes and magazines. They look healthy and nutritious and they sound great. Some of them have as much as 1,300 milligrams of sodium per serving, which is way too much. The next thing people should look at, in addition, is a number of sugar grams in there. Yogurt, for example, has anywhere from 16 to 20 grams of sugar. That's way too much. So the plain Greek yogurt is much healthier for you. Also, the ingredients. Sometimes there's hidden sugars. They mislabel it. They put it as high fructose corn syrup. They'll put it as corn syrup. They'll call it other things. And you're right. People need to see what the first, second, and third ingredients are. The reason being, the ingredients are listed in quantity. So, for example, a can of tuna, if it says packed in water on the front, if you look at the ingredients, most of them will say tuna, water, vegetable broth, and salt. So the question is, well, what's in the vegetable broth? And they can have as many as 168 different compounds or elements in that vegetable broth that's not disclosed. So I've only found 2 places where I can get tuna that's actually packed in water and it says tuna and water and nothing else. And that's at the Kierland brand tuna and also Chicken of the Sea tuna at Costco. Well, the other thing is also look and see if they've added extra nutrients. Some will have extra vitamin A, vitamin K, vitamin D. People think, if they get extra nutrients, it's a good product. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is. But that's the important thing of looking at a nutritional fact label. A lot of times you'll see chemicals in there. They call it artificial ingredients. And actually what artificial ingredients are just chemicals. So you're putting chemicals into your body without realizing it. The best advice I can give your audience is to eat food as close to nature as possible. So it should be, vegetables and fruits that are raw and unprocessed.
You know, David, a lot of people go on that vegetable diet you're talking about, the raw vegetables. And I've heard from quite a few people actually that it could be very detrimental to your health because you're not getting the proteins, you're not getting various other things that belong in food and make you feel better. What do you say to that?
I disagree. There's a lot of vegetarians and vegans that are very healthy. It's making sure you eat the right vegetables and the right legumes and right beans and right foods so that you are getting a variety of protein from various sources. Unfortunately, people will eat a lot of corn, and corn is not healthy and causes a lot of inflammation in the body. Uh, People will eat green peas thinking it's a vegetable when actually it's a legume. So there's a lot of things you need to be careful of. For example, nuts are very healthy. Almonds that are raw and unsalted. Walnuts are great. Pistachios, as long as they're raw and unsalted. Sometimes people think peanuts are healthy. Unfortunately, peanuts are not an actual nut, it's a legume. And the way that it's processed with being roasted and salted makes it unhealthy.
You see advertisements on TV. Advertising, for example, I always use the example of McDonald's, and McDonald's sells quite a bit of these hamburgers and fries and other things that are pretty seemingly unhealthy. But how do you fight that? Because they are huge. And not only are they huge, they have the dollars to spend on advertising, but people like yourself don't. So if you had something to say to our audience about fighting that compulsive behavior of wanting to have that smell, that luxury of, getting those kinds of foods, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that you're making a choice not to indulge in those products, that it's a decision. You're not making a sacrifice. You're not foregoing something. You're making a conscious decision not to have those products because you want to remain healthy. Once in a while is okay. The problem is if you make an exception, it tends to become the rule. And if you start going down that slippery slope, what happens is you'll say, I'll make an exception this time. And then next week, there's another exception. And before you know it, you've reverted back to your old eating habits. So it's important to keep your mindset focused that you're making a choice. We all have choices of what we put into our mouths. The other thing people need to be aware of is blue, the color blue is an appetite suppressant, whereas red and yellow are appetite stimulants. That's why McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Denny's, KFC, Pizza Hut, and other fast food places all use red, yellow, or a combination thereof in their marketing because it promotes people's hunger.
That's pretty interesting. And I'm sure people understand that when they go to those places, they are making a choice, and perhaps that choice is not great. But let's get to minerals and vitamins and all these things that you could take. Are they good for you? And what would you take? And what did you take as a supplement to your diet?
Certain vitamins and mineral and supplements are excellent. Others, unfortunately, the way they manufacture them will not do much for your body and is a waste of money. For me, what I did when I was, and I still take, I take the Juice Plus supplements. So I don't always advocate people should do it. It's what I do. And supplements are good as long as you know that it's from a good source, because there's too much out there that is not healthy for people and a waste of their money. So you have to look in and research everything. One thing I like to say about the going back to the vegetarian and vegan with these new imitation meats from plants, those are more detrimental to you than actual meat. And the reason being of the chemicals they use to make the plants taste like meat. So people think they're eating healthy by using a substitute. They're actually not.
Go on.
Another thing is when you say you're a vegetarian, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're eating healthy. I know people who will eat potato chips, which are technically vegetables, from the potato. That's not healthy for you. So again, it's what is the source of the food that you're putting into your body, and that determines whether a person's going to be healthy or not.
David, so you went on a diet and you lost the 50 pounds. It seems to me that a lot of people who lose weight, as you said, they become a little bit of well, let's just say that they feel very good after they do that. But again, I'm interested in understanding, how do you keep it off? Because again, most people just, they go back on a diet, they go back onto eating bad things, and then there it goes again, a diet. It's like a repetitive thing, and it's not good for your body, is it?
No, it's not. That's why I talk about lifestyle as opposed to a diet. What I did was I completely changed my eating habits. I used to be a very fast eater. I've learned to slow down my eating. I've also learned to use a salad plate instead of a dinner sized plate so my portions are smaller. People may not realize their portions have been supersized. In the 1900s, the average size diameter of a dinner plate was 9 inches. Today, it's over 12 inches. And in restaurants, most of the serving dishes are 13 to 15 inches in diameter. Yet in Europe, it's still 9 inches. The other thing I've learned to do is not eat while I'm working at the computer or watching TV. I focus on the food that I'm eating so I can enjoy it. I eat leisurely instead of being in a hurry. And that's one of the problems today is we're all rushed and want to get things done quickly. So we have what we call mindless eating, where we're putting food in our mouth without realizing it because we're distracted. So you need to sit at the dining room table or kitchen table or somewhere where you're not working, you're not driving in your car going through the drive-through, or you're not at your desk having a sandwich.
You know, David, we're going through a pandemic right now that is getting people to stay home a lot. Now, when you're home, and it just seems to me that you have a tendency to probably eat more or eat the wrong things. If you were, say, a nutritionist or a dietitian, and you said to the people today, look, we're going through this pandemic, and yes, you have to stay home, but what can we do? And this is probably a repeated question because, again, I want to know during this particular awful time how people really can stay on a diet.
Well, it's not a diet, it's changing their eating habits and lifestyle. Now they're at home, they have no excuse not to take the time and effort to prepare a healthy meal as to opposed to, ordering takeout, which is delivered now, or getting packaged or frozen foods that they pop in a microwave. So now they can take time to bake the chicken or make a salad. Just be careful of the salad dressing you put on there because they're loaded with high calories, sugar, and fat. The other thing you can do is drink more water. And again, set a schedule of when you're going to eat and avoid snacking in between. If you're going to snack, have healthy things, an apple, pear is very healthy. Again, almonds, nuts are what I do is I count out 7 to 10 of almonds or walnuts or pistachios, and then I eat them slowly. Otherwise, if you grab a handful and you gulp it down, that's 100 calories. And some people will gulp as many as two, three, four handfuls at a time, not realizing how much calories they're actually putting into their body. The other thing is go for a walk or drink more pure water. Avoid the sodas and diet sodas. Avoid the orange juice. People think orange juice is healthy, but it's not. Normally, it takes 4 to 8 medium-sized oranges to make 1 glass of orange juice, and it's loaded with sugar and no fiber. What I tell people is, would you eat 4 to 8 oranges at one sitting? And of course not. So the thing is, eat an orange instead of drinking the orange juice. Limit yourself to drinking more of the water, herbal teas that are unsweetened. Even black coffee is better than the soda and diet soda out there.
You know, David, I used to work with the Japanese, and Japanese people usually have a great diet. They drink green tea, they eat a lot of different fish, that sort of thing. Um, should we emulate the way they eat? And is it possible for a country like ours with people who are so used to having all this processed food? Um, and do you know about the Japanese diet, and do you uh, actually want to recommend it to most of your people who you deal with?
Oh, absolutely. The Japanese have a fantastic diet. Most of their diet is soups, so it's a lot of broths, and they're drinking a lot of liquids. They eat a lot of fish that are healthy. They put in, various, vegetables that are good for you. So absolutely, it's a healthy way of eating. There's a book called The Blue Zone, which goes into how people live over 100 years, and they looked at their eating habits, and it gives different recipes people can change over to. Again, it takes time and effort. I used to think that the number one reason people overate was because of stress. However, I've since changed my opinion that the number one reason people gain weight is because of convenience and complacency. We've become complacent in the way we prepare our meals and eat our food, and we look for convenience. It's easier to go through the drive-through. It's easier to order a pizza or pick up a bucket of fried chicken than it is to take the time and make the effort to prepare a healthy meal. So this is what's causing a lot of obesity in our country, is that people are looking for faster ways to prepare a meal instead of looking at food as fuel or nourishment for their bodies. They're not looking at how they, what they put into their bodies and what they're consuming, whether it's going to be nutritious or not. An example I give is if you eat an apple, it's about 95 calories. However, it takes your body 25 calories to digest it and process it. So the net calories is 70. However, if you eat a Hershey bar, which is 125 calories, it takes no effort on your body to digest and process it. So you're getting a net of 125 calories with no nutritional benefit whatsoever.
What about dark chocolate? People usually say that dark chocolate is very healthy. Do you agree?
Yes, I agree, so long as it's 72% cacao or cocoa. The two are very similar. The difference between cocoa and cacao is how it's produced. It comes from the chocolate bean, however. And I adjusted my taste buds so that I'm up to 92% cacao when I have a piece of chocolate. And that's a treat. It's very healthy for you. It's a great antioxidant. However, you have to be careful because not all the dark chocolate is processed the same. And sometimes it's not as 72% of the dark chocolate. It may be less than that. Read the labels as to what they're actually eating. You pick up a dark chocolate candy bar, you may think, oh, this is healthy for me. And then you find out it's only 50% or 60% cacao, not 72%, which is where the actual health benefit comes from.
David, I would like you to define antioxidants because we hear that all the time, but I'm not sure everybody understands what they are.
Antioxidants are compounds that help your body prevent from aging. So they attack the free radicals in your body that are unhealthy for you. Basically, that's all it is. It's just a chemical process.
A lot of people in our country, and I don't know if this is really true because I haven't done the research on this, but a lot of people here have diabetes too. Now, why do you think that is the case? And is it because, again, our diets or say the way we eat is not good?
Absolutely. What I read recently is in a research paper, they found that if you're over age 55, you have an 80% of being a type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic. The reason being is there's a lot of extra sugars in our food that people aren't aware of. People use a lot of ketchup on their hamburgers and their french fries, and ketchup is about 60% sugar. They use a lot of high fructose corn syrup in making ketchup. So you have to be careful what you're actually putting into your body. Uh, the other thing is with all the processed foods and artificial ingredients, which are chemicals, it accumulates over time. When you're first eating the food products, you don't realize the damage it's being done to your body. However, after 20, 30 years of all these chemicals being in your body, that's when you start seeing the chronic illnesses and diseases showing up. If you're having a healthy lifestyle, you'll see people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s looking like they're in their 40s and 50s and being more active. It's because, they've treated their body like a machine that it is. If you consider your body the machine which it is, and you give it the right fuel, then you'll have a high performance. Think of it as a race car. You wouldn't want to use regular gasoline in a turbocharged race car. The other thing is most people treat their pets better than they treat themselves. The example I use is the thoroughbred racehorse. Usually the owners will give the horse better nutrition, better training, better exercise, better being outdoors and socialization with other horses than they do for themselves. And they make sure that the vet, checks on the horse weekly or however often it is. Yet a lot of people refuse to go for medical checkups with their primary care doctors. A lot of people do not get their eyes examined. A lot of people do not go to the dentist and take care of their bodies like their cars. They take their cars in for regular oil changes and maintenance, but they won't do preventative maintenance on themselves. So that's one of the reasons that as we get older, people start, seeing these chronic illnesses. Unfortunately, parents are teaching their kids the wrong way to eat. It's easier for the parents to go through McDonald's drive-through or Burger King or Pizza Hut and get their kids, fast food than it is to prepare healthy meals. So there's a higher rate of obesity in younger kids now. I love a quote from Dr. David Friedman. He's my mentor. He wrote Food Sanity. He wrote, "Whoever snuck the S in fast food was a marketing genius because it's actually fat food."
That's great. That's a wonderful way to end our show. But just one last question. Is a diet, or I keep on saying diet, but I want to talk about choices, different for women than men?
Not necessarily. We all need to eat healthy. However, women generally need less caloric intake than men. So there is a difference because of different hormones and different, body composition. We're all unique. We're all different. We all have different blood types, different body chemistries. So the main thing is eat slower, drink more pure water, reduce your portion sizes, avoid processed foods, and eat more raw whole foods as close to nature as possible.
Well, we're almost at the end. So now what I want you to do is tell people how they get in touch with you, how they get your book, why your book is so important. I know that you could say so much about that because it is a very important book, but I want the audience to know how they can talk to this wonderful guest that I have today, David Medansky.
People can reach me at my email address, which is David Medansky. It's spelled Medansky at gmail.com. So it's David Medansky, like three words, me, Dan, and Sky, at gmail.com. They can also go get a copy of the book, If Not Now, When? Reduce Weight, Create a Healthy Lifestyle in 90 Days at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, their local library, or at their local independent bookstore. They can also go to my website, createyourthinnerself.com. That's createyourthinnerself.com. And I'm happy to answer questions if they reach out to me.
Well, my guest today has been David Medansky, and I love saying America's new authority for healthy weight loss. He's such a great guest, and I thank you again for being on the Susan Brender Show.
Thank you.